Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the Gathering 2021. We are so thrilled to celebrate with you what the Lord has been doing in the life of Love Inc. And before we begin our program today, we'd love to just introduce a song to you. It's called A Living Prayer. And one of the lyrics in this song says, "Take my life and let it be a living prayer, my God, to thee." And I love this song because it reminds me of what Love Inc. does every single day. All the volunteers that I work with are living prayers, just the hands and feet of Jesus Christ. And that's the goal in everything that we do, that we would be a reflection of him. So let's take a second and focus on that as we sing this next song.
This world, I walk alone, with no place to call my own. But there is one who holds my hand, the rugged road through barren lands. The way is dark, the road is steep, but he's become my eyes to see, the strength to climb, my cross to bear. The Savior lives inside me there. And in your love I find release, a haven from my unbelief. Take my life and let me be a living prayer, my God, to thee. And in these trials of life I find another voice inside my mind. He comforts me and bids me live inside his love, our Father gives. And in your love I find release, a haven from my unbelief. Take my life and let me be a living prayer, my God, to thee. Oh, take my life and let me be a living prayer, my God, to thee.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Love Inc. Gathering. Those of you here with us tonight and those of you watching us online. My name is Chris Tolson. I'm on staff here overseeing communications, and I get to be your MC tonight. Wasn't that song beautiful? Yes. For this year's entertainment, we decided to look within our volunteer community for a beautiful blend of voices, instruments, and church representation. On piano is my husband, Matt Tolson, and we attend Centennial Covenant Church. On vocals, we have our very own Connection Center coordinator, Carly Leppert. Yeah, and her husband, Andrew, is taking photos tonight, so make sure you don't shy away from the camera and be nice to Andrew. They attend Mission Hills Church. On guitar, we have Ed Law, and yes, we can clap for Ed. We're just gonna clap for everybody. Ed is a part of our Furnishing Hope ministry and Renewed Treasures. He and his wife, Eileen, attend St. Luke's United Methodist Church. And last but not least, we have Larry Apodaca. Yep. He attends St. Francis Cabrini Catholic Church. He's also one of the co-chairs of tonight's event, along with our board member, Michelle Hins. And Michelle and Larry, thank you so much for this evening and all your hard work for that and the rest of the event team. Thank you. I'd like to especially thank our presenting sponsor tonight, McDonald Automotive, along with our very generous event sponsors and first fruit donors. Many of you are in here tonight. Thank you. We could not be gathering together tonight without our gracious church host, our Father Lutheran. So I would like to start off our evening with a prayer. I'm going to invite Reverend Micah Steiner to come up and pray for our night.
Thank you. And thank you all for being here tonight in the building, and those of you watching from home online. We have been so blessed to be partners with Love Inc. We're newer partners. Many of you, your churches have been with Love Inc. for many, many years. We're rather new, and it's been such a blessing for us getting volunteers plugged in, as well as helping those in our community who are really in need. And what I love about tonight, and what I love about Love Inc., is if you look around the room, and there was a slide that was on before, we've got Lutherans here, Methodists, Episcopalians, Greek Orthodox. This is what the church was intended to be. And we're here tonight because of the love of Jesus Christ, because of his love for us. And it's in that love and with that grace. I'd like to go to God in prayer now. Would you join me in prayer? Heavenly Father, we thank you. We praise you. Love that you show us and that you showed us through the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. We would pray boldly, Lord, that you would continue to bless the ministry of Love Inc., that you would continue to bless those, the least of those, the hurting, the marginalized, those who have been abused and experienced poverty and experienced the downsides of this life on earth. Help us, embolden us, O Lord, to be your hands and feet, to continue to share your love, continue to help the needs of those around us, to look past our own will, our own desires, to be self-sacrificing people who, in your name, Jesus, go out into the streets and love and care for those among us who need your help. Bless this night tonight. We boldly pray that you would increase the outreach, increase the scope that Love Inc. has in this community. And bless our time of fellowship. What a great vision of heaven, of men and women of all tribes and nations and tongues, together glorifying you. We praise you, Jesus, for you make it possible. And it's in your name we pray.
Thank you, Micah. And thank you for the rest of our tech team, Heather and Nathan as well tonight. I'd like to draw your attention to the back of your program to see a bit about what Love Inc. does in our community. If you're watching at home online, you can actually access this program from our website, loveinclittleton.org. The Love Inc. mission is to engage local Christians and churches to transform lives and communities in the name of Christ and help churches offer redemptive compassion. Our three main ministries are listed here: our helpline, the Connection Center, our resale store, Renewed Treasures, and our transformational ministry program, Impact. You can also use this QR code to visit our website to learn more. There's also a response card with your program. And I give you full permission to look at this and read it throughout the rest of the presentation, because what we would love to see you do tonight is respond, and you'll see a lot of ways to do that. We have 3 defining differences with Love Inc. And to start with engaging Christians and local Christians to serve, let's watch a video testimony from 4 of our current volunteers.
Hi, I'm Sherry Martinelli, and my husband and I attend Deer Creek Church. I first got involved with the diaper ministry, one of the diaper ministries, because I've been a parenting coach for decades. And so I love talking with moms and just having that opportunity. And now I've been on the board for 7 years, and it has been a wonderful time to be able to serve in that way.
I'm Steve Snyder. I'm a member at Centennial Covenant Church. In the Impact program, I serve as a facilitator for the Faith and Finances class, also a life coach there. And I serve as a navigator for the Connections Center to help people out of difficult spots. And I'm a backup driver helping people get to medical appointments when they need transportation.
My name is Linda Jeffries. I attend Valley View Christian Church in Littleton, and I'm a Renewed Treasures volunteer.
I'm Rainey Donay, and I'm with South Sub Church, and I volunteer with the Furnishing Hope Ministry.
I was taking care of my husband who was ill, and after he passed away and I had retired, I needed something to do. I felt suddenly that God didn't want me just staying home looking after myself. I was in the store shopping one day, and it was like God said to me, "This is where I want you."
I worked on a lot of projects and did a lot of financing, and moving into retirement a couple of years ago, I really wanted to get myself in a position where I could impact people more than projects.
I'm getting close to retirement, but you know, just having that part of that mission, that desire to give back to the community is very important to me. And Love Inc. provides a way of being able to do that.
I've made a lot of friends, good friends, and I love working with the customers.
It's been a wonderful experience. There's so many great volunteers with really a heart to help people, and I think it's really the hands and feet of Jesus in action.
You know, it only takes one person at a time. We can't change the world. We can't change all of Littleton or surrounding area, but one person, one family, one community at a time.
There was a lady that we went to deliver, and it was an apartment 6 stories up in this building. And when we got there, she had nothing in her house. She didn't have a chair to sit in. She was sitting on the floor. She had a couple blankets on the floor. She was sleeping with a pillow on the floor.
I had a customer a few months ago, a precious lady that came in, and she was scuffing her feet and using a cane. She could hardly walk. And she asked me if I would please help her find a pair of shoes, and that she couldn't bend over to try them on. So I helped her sit down, and we kept trying on pairs of shoes, and we finally found a pair that would fit her. Her shoes she was wearing were walked over on both the sides and at the back, and she had twisted toes. And my heart just broke for her.
We did delivery here, and it was almost a whole living room and kitchen full of furniture. And the person there he was just amazed, number one, of the amount of furniture and the quality of furniture. But then he decided to share his story with us as we prayed with him.
When she was leaving, she thanked me for taking time with her. She said, "I'm an old lady, and I go in stores and nobody wants to help me. They don't want to take time with me. And I thank you for taking time."
When you see situations like that, it makes almost everything else around you seem insignificant when you know that people could use that help.
I've really had my eyes opened to a whole level of economic need. The Impact program can really help them get a direction set and move from where they are presently life in their tough circumstances to a better place.
One of our very first Impact graduations, a woman mentioned how she was near homelessness. She didn't have a place to live. She lost her job. She was in debt. And after going through Impact, having a mentor come beside her, 9 months later, after taking classes, she said that she now had a place to live. She had a job, and she was out of debt. Where else does that happen?
I think of Scripture when it talks about we're in this race, right? And we're all in this race together. It's not like we're by ourselves.
Jesus' comments in John 15 was, I have told you these things so that my joy may be in you and your joy may be complete. And I think joy is something that is lacking in today's society.
As our needs increase in the community, it's important for folks to volunteer. It's important for agencies, organizations like Love Inc. to flourish and be supported so that we can make a bigger impact on the needs of this community. We just can't ignore it.
My pastor had given us a sermon a couple weeks ago. It said something like, we are not here to wear a robe, we are here to carry a towel. That we are to serve and not be served. So I feel so blessed that Renewed Treasures offers me this opportunity to work with people, and I'm the one that's getting blessed out of it. I love Renewed Treasures.
This is what it's all about, is loving your neighbor the best way you know how. And that is helping them, not a handout, but a hand up, helping them help themselves, learning how to do life better. And that's what I love about Love Inc.
What a blessing it was to capture those testimonies and shed a few tears as well. I'm looking at you, Sherry, right there. I would like to turn our attention to the individuals we'll be honoring tonight for a decade of service. Of our over 200 current volunteers, these recipients have logged many hours since 2011, and some even earlier, and have consistently shown up year after year, wearing multiple hats oftentimes. I'd like to invite two of our recipients to the stage to read the names, Rick Foffman and Susan Gans. Rick Foffman's roots go way back to the founding of Love Inc. in 2005. He was the very first Connection Center coordinator and has served on the board and as treasurer for 2 cycles, a total of 11 years. He says he prefers that side of the finances as opposed to fundraising, but nevertheless, Rick is an excellent ambassador for Love Inc., inviting friends and neighbors, some of you are here tonight, to learn more about Love Inc. and support it financially. Without Rick, Love Inc. would not be the organization it is today. And Susan Gans has been our volunteer coordinator and recruiter for over 7 years, and she has been on the team since before 2011. She and her husband, Bill, have signed up for more events, projects, mail teams, and call teams. I see you nodding, Doug, yes. Then we can probably count. Susan has answered phones, given rides, and called almost every single person in this room and online. It's Susan. She has been my professional admin and dear friend and confidant, and I cannot imagine Love Inc. without her. They are going to read the names of the fellow decade honorees, and I would ask that we save our applause for the end because we'll have people stand and it'll be a great hootenanny. So,
thank you, Chris. Dean Anderson. has worked with many Love INC clients over the years, doing yard work, and this past year joined our Furnishing Hope ministry. If we ever need a helping hand, we call Dean.
Christine Baker. You hear me? Christine Baker. Chris and her husband Gary helped launch and have overseen the successful Dipes and Wipes ministry. She's been the backbone of this very caring ministry.
Shirley Bjornseth began her work with Love INC as the model church coordinator. She joined the Love INC board in 2014 and co-chaired the Harvest fundraiser for 3 years.
Carl Cleveland. Carl has been board chair, a staff member, and a consultant for Love INC. Carl launched Impact in 2017, and we ambitiously steered into deeper mission because of his very steady leadership.
And his darling wife, Joanne Cleveland, served as a receptionist during the early years of the Connection Center and was part of the home visitation team. She also has been an invaluable part of our accounting team for many years.
Deb Darien. Deb has been the cornerstone of Haven's Hope Diaper Ministry and has been a constant support to our families in need.
Michiko Dunker is behind the scenes but irreplaceable. She prays consistently every week for our community and is part of every office project. Recently, she and her husband Jeff helped Renewed Treasures relocate unusable donations.
Kim Harkerick. Kim was one of the first Connection Center volunteers in early years, helping to establish Love INC in our community. Kim is trained as a Stephen minister and has been using those skills at Impact as a life coach.
Maggie Hedrick has given 200 rides and driven almost 5,000 miles since 2009 for our neighbors in need. Maggie even drove a client to Colorado Springs and has sat in many hospital lobbies, serving as the waiting companion for clients undergoing surgery.
Jerry Hertzler. Jerry has been our go-to guy for starting Gap Ministries and has been so faithful through board membership, overseeing Renewed Treasures, Furnishing Hope, and even hiking the entire Colorado Trail to fundraise for Love INC.
Irma Carnes co-led our former Senior Access Gap Ministry. She was also part of the team that mailed out our very first Love INC newsletter way back in 2007 and continues to recruit and guide our amazing newsletter mailing team.
Jim Carnes. Jim is such a hardworking servant as he does whatever needs to be done before being asked. He's been heavily involved with Senior Access and the newsletter mailing team as well.
And Carmen McDermott has driven nearly 10,000 miles and has been called an angel recently by a food delivery recipient, as she actually shops the entire food bank line for each individual client household.
Carolyn McIntosh. Carolyn has prayed with countless neighbors in need as she guided them into our Connection Center through the intake process. She has spoken love into so many, and we know she has inspired hope in the name of Christ.
And then there's Chris Pathman. She's related to Rick. She's been a church representative for Love INC over the years. She not only taught an emotional health curriculum via Zoom for Impact last year, but she was the recipient of the Servant's Heart Award by her fellow Impact team member and participants.
Raina Powell has given 215 rides since 2010 and has also been faithfully shopping and delivering food through the COVID pandemic. Our clients look forward to seeing her each week as she continues to offer relational compassion.
Marnie Wetzel has blessed us every year with her roles as a coach in the Impact program and in our Connection Center. Marnie sets the standard for what it looks like to offer a hand up.
And Edie Worth. Edie has given rides, run errands, stood at Love INC ministry booths, supported empty bowls, harvests, and all the things fundraising, and has been a constant go-getter for supporting our community. Thank you all.
All right, let's give them a round of applause. And I meant to ask, you'll have to clap again. I meant to ask those of you that are recipients of this year's Decade Awards, will you stand up? And those of you sitting at home, if you're on this list, please stand with us as well. Would you please stand so we can see who you are? Thank you. Thank you. We look forward to doing this every year because it feels good to see these faces, doesn't it? Our second, then let's have the ensemble play another song. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ed Law, and our next song is entitled Take My Life. The song is a prayer that God will use every bit of us, our entire life, to praise Him and to serve Him. As Love INC volunteers, we have all prayed that God will empower us to be Christ's hands and feet here on earth. I believe that we are meant to be God's heart as well, serving our fellow brothers and sisters with the kind of compassion that He taught us to have. Take my life and let it be consecrated, Lord, to Thee. Take my moments and my days, let them flow in ceaseless praise. Take my hands and let them move at the impulse of Thy love. Take my feet and let them be swift and beautiful for Thee.
Take my voice and let me sing, always only for my King. Take my lips and let them be filled with messages from Thee. Take my silver and my gold, not a mite would I withhold. Take my intellect and use every power as You choose.
Here am I, all of me. Take my life, it's all for Thee. Take my will and make it Thine. It shall be no longer mine. Take my heart, it is Thine own. It shall be Thy royal throne. Take my love, my Lord, I pour at Your feet as treasure store. Take myself and I will be over only all for Thee. Here am I, life, and let it be consecrated, Lord, to Thee.
I could just listen to that all night. I really could. Our second defining difference is transforming lives through redemptive compassion. And I would like to invite to the stage Jackie Supich, who has been what I like to call, from the arts world, a triple threat. Yes, Jackie actually met us as a client, joined us as a participant, and recently blessed us as a volunteer. And I would love for you to hear her story.
Good evening. I'm humbled to stand before you. Great organization has really made a difference. So my story kind of starts with that saying, never judge a book by its cover. So back in the day, not so long distance past, people would have looked at my life and said, she's got it together. I had a career as a teacher, been teaching at that time, at the end of my career, for about 35 years. I had a house, I had a car, I had the 2 kids, and I even had a dog, you know. So the American dream, right? So, so people looking from the outside in would say I had it all together. And I really didn't have it all together, and soon it started to fall apart. So I had some things happen in my life that weren't so fun, such as I had a divorce. And that wasn't fun because I had this vision that we would be together on rocking chairs on the front porch, you know, in our old age, and sipping our sweet iced tea or coffee and doing our thing, but that wasn't going to happen. Just didn't work out. And I thought, God, what's going on? You know, what's happening here? So people didn't know that was going on in my life. You look at people, and a lot of you here, we don't know what you're walking through. And that was the first thing that happened. And then soon after that, I was diagnosed with cancer, a really rare form of cancer. And I thought, whoa, what's happening now, God? First, I lose my husband and a lot of other things along the way that are lost sometimes with a divorce. And now my health. And I thought, you know what, God? I've been a teacher my whole life. I've given what I thought my best, and what's going on? And I really struggled. Not only was I starting to struggle spiritually and emotionally, but financially. And then, as you all know, COVID hit. And my finances became even tighter. As you all know, you get that bill in the mail, and you're like, what happened to the water bill? Went up. And what happened to Excel bill? Went up. And I was really struggling with my value and self-worth. I retired. I had to retire because of my cancer. And I thought I'd be that kindergarten teacher. I taught full-day kindergarten. I love those guys. But I thought I'd be that full-day kindergarten teacher with my walker saying, come on, kids, let's go. But God had a different plan, okay? So one day a friend of mine said, you should call Love Inc. And I don't know, what's Love Inc.? Love Incorporated? You know, what? You find a new husband? What's going on there? I don't know. So, found out it wasn't that, by the way. That it was really in the name of Christ. So one day I and took courage, and I called. And when I called, at the other end of that phone was love and compassion, no judgment. I didn't have a scarlet D for divorce, which I thought every verse in the Bible I kept reading during that time was God hates divorce. But God still loved me, and that person at the other end of the phone couldn't have been kinder. And at that time, I was, I'm dealing with cancer, I have other health issues, so going out during COVID was not a good plan. And so the first order of business was trying to meet some of my physical needs, which Love Inc., said, oh, we can help you with food. So I thought, oh, they'll give me a gift card and I'm going to have to go in the store. Not so sure about that. Oh, no. They said, we're going to deliver it to you. I'm like, who does that? Who does that, right? And I still get that delivery because my stamina with my illness to stand in line at a food bank, I couldn't do it for very long. I wouldn't make it. So I have been blessed by that. And then one day I get that call from Terry Bate, and I didn't know who this guy was. Why are you calling me? And he calls me and says, we think you'd be really a good person that could take value and learn by taking some of our classes at Impact. And I'm like, what's Impact? And come to find out, Impact was a place where you can come to community and learn. And I took that first class, Affirming Potential. And I have to tell you, if you haven't taken that class, you should. Because that's where I found my value and worth, that God still loved me. I still could contribute to society, even though I wasn't teaching anymore, and I didn't have the stamina to run and chase after kindergartners. But I could still make an impact for the kingdom. And in that class, you know what happens? Even at my age, at 60-something, I realized that I can still do stuff for the kingdom. It might be in little steps, but I can still do it. And I started to dream and have those dreams. And at my age, I could have a dream. So I started to learn that I could get my confidence back and that God still loved me and God still valued me and that I didn't have the scarlet D. So what's Love Inc. doing? Love Inc.'s giving me tools from my tool belt all along the way. So when I started taking those classes, I got those tools. And I have to really say that Love Inc., I think, saved my life. Not so much in a physical sense, but part of that, but more in that spiritual sense that I wasn't alone. I could still have value and worth. And they kept giving me tools in my tool belt. I took other classes. And even though we were on Zoom, it was a community because I was isolated. So that community on Zoom, even though we looked blurry and you could dress from here up. So I would often be in my pajama pants or whatever, but you could look nice, but still feel like people were praying for you, and they were. And I just really felt loved in the name of Christ, not an ink, but love in the name of Christ. So none of my circumstances have changed. I'm still divorced. My finances are still a struggle. I still have cancer. But Love Inc. has come alongside me. And then just a few months ago, I lost my dad and to cancer. And Love Inc., they were calling to check on me, sending me texts, coming by. That's what I call a community and a family. That's what Love Inc. does. And don't you want to be around people like that? And so that's what I thought, now that, we thought things maybe are calming down with COVID. But I thought, I want to volunteer, and I want to surround myself with people like that. And so now I volunteer in the Connection Center, and I get the privilege of helping other people, and I love praying with people. And at the end, I give my secrets away here, but after I talk to people, I have a little paper there, and I'm writing down names, so I take those names home with me, and I pray for those people so that I can remember their needs. But I want to be a person that makes an impact. That's why those classes are called Impact. It changed my life. I was by myself, and I thought, okay, I'm not going to be able to do anything for God anymore. I don't have value, I don't have worth, but it's not true. You could be 90 plus, 100 years old, you still have value and worth in God's eyes. So, loving, they're walking the talk. They're not just talking it, they're doing something. They're putting action into it. I have a verse that I really felt has resonated with me for a while. I have several favorite verses, so picking one was tough, but This is one, and this is from John 16:33. I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation. But take heart, I've overcome the world.
Thank you, Jackie. I love how Jackie's story removes the us versus them stigma that can often slip into outreach ministry. You embody our sense of being family, and I can't wait to see your testimony continue. Jackie mentioned our impact program, and I'd like to turn our attention now to a special testimony from who I hope to be another Love INC triple threat, Jella Pearson.
One of the people that we have truly been amazed by, and I'm delighted to be able to introduce you to, is Jella Pearson. Jella simply exudes so much joy and has such an incredible story to tell. We are thrilled that she's a part of the Impact family and cannot wait to share her story with you.
I actually first learned about Love INC when my friend Anne had my son. She's the foster mom of my son. And we went to Dipes and Wipes, which is through Love INC. So anyway, she contacted me back again and was like, hey, Love INC has these classes through Impact Ministry. Do you want to check it out? And I was like, yeah, sure. So the first class that I took was Faith and Finances. And I had taken a similar class in the past, but I'm really glad that I took this one because it helped remind me of what I should be doing and what I shouldn't be doing. And the thing that I got most from this class was, do you really need that? Do you have to have this? Because your goal is what you really want. Fast food, go home and make some dinner. Save that $10. That could be $10 extra that you could put in that savings account for your goal. Doing the Impact Ministry through Zoom was great.
Anything that you would like to share with your class facilitators or discussion group leaders?
I just have to say that not only did I get a better perspective of my finances through this class, but anytime I reached out to Susan, she was quick to get back to me and it had questions that didn't have anything to do with faith and finances. Shar was also very informative. So was Steve. I just want to thank them all for their time and their stories and their compassion. And I'm a sensitive girl, so they put up with me crying a lot. And I love you all, and I can't wait to see you guys in person. I'm glad it didn't get canceled. I'm glad that there was something to do. And then the tub that came for every week, there was something for the child to do so that he wasn't bored or she wasn't bored, was just really a blessing for us.
After 4 years of Impact, it has been incredible to see how lives have been changed. It's also fantastic to be back in community, meeting in person at a campus with the joy, the laughter, the times together, the shared experiences.
I'm here at Impact in person, finally after all this time. I'm about to take Affirming Potential.
I get a life coach with this, somebody that's gonna hold me accountable and say, hey, this is the next step, or hey, what do you think about that? And so with this class and having a life coach, I'm like, I get butterflies in my stomach just thinking about it.
My son and I recently moved into our own place, and we were able to get vouchers to Renewed Treasures, and that's such a great place. It's like a boutique, and there's stuff that takes you back in time, but then it's modern. It's really great. And then I got furniture. I didn't have any furniture, and now I have a couch, and the gentlemen that delivered it were just really great.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. This is all for me?
Yes.
Oh my gosh! That is beautiful. It's all so beautiful. God has been so good to me. You guys don't even know, and just to have this. He's always made sure I had a roof over my head, food in my stomach, and gas in the car if I had a vehicle. And it doesn't even if we were living with friends, we still had a roof over our head, or even a shelter. There was a period of time, where I was a user and sleeping in a Suburban, and
Okay, you ready? Okay.
I was okay with it at the time. But I don't even know what to say.
How's it feel?
It feels like home. Look it! It's a couch! I'm so overjoyed and so overwhelmed because God gave me more than what I was asking for. And that's what it says in the Bible. And I really see it this time. He's really just showed me. And I'm just very thankful for everybody's help, and I just love everybody. Everybody has a spot in my heart, and I'm just thankful, and I'm speechless. This is just such, it's another home. I have my church home, and then I have Love INC home, and I've made friends, and I have support, and I really want to give back to it, and I'm a lifer here, and when my son moves out and I don't have anything to do, I want to be a volunteer.
We love seeing people's story and their journey unfold before us. We cannot wait to see what the good Lord is going to do in Jella's life, as well as for all of our participants.
Wow, how do you follow that? Wonderful stories about our sister Jella and Jackie's walk, and as you can see, it's not been an easy walk. It's not just about assistance, because it requires action and accountability that takes trust, obedience, and perseverance. We serve an all-merciful, compassionate, and loving Father. That's who He is, a God who really wants the best for us. And as adopted sons and daughters, we are loved by that same Father. It's who we are. So this next song is so appropriate. We serve such a good, good Father. I've heard 1,000 stories of what they think you're like, oh, and I heard the tender whisper of love in the dead of night, and you tell me that you're pleased and that I'm never alone. When I've seen many searching for answers far and wide, but I know we're all searching for answers only you provide, 'cause you know just what we need before we say a word. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who I am, it's who I am, it's who I am. 'Cause you're perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. You are perfect in all of your ways. Perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to as you call me, deeper still as you call me, deeper still into love, love, love. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. 'Cause you're perfect in all of your ways. Oh, you're perfect in all of your ways. Yes, you're perfect in all of your ways. Sing it with us now. You're perfect in all of your ways. Oh, you're perfect in all of your ways. Yes, you're perfect in all of your ways to us.
Thank you, Ensemble. And I'm Catherine Roy, Executive Director at Love Inc. here, and it's so great to see old friends and new friends here, and Jella. Jella's out there, wave to me, yes! And Tristan. We love you, Jella. Thanks also to everybody who's joining us online. I know we can't see you, but we can feel your presence here. Thanks. Many of you know that Love in the Name of Christ is a national movement that's been around since 1977, currently in 30 states, and our Love Inc. has been serving the community for 13 years now. Yes. Every single Love Inc. bridges the needs of the community with the people and resources in the churches. And when the church is engaged and lives are transformed, God's love and provision is put on display. That's what we're here to celebrate today. We celebrate the ways that God's love is put on display through our Love Inc. ministries. This year, for the first time, we had a back-to-school clothing distribution on July 24th with 31 churches participating, 100 volunteers, 10 other organizations, all sharing love and giving clothes to more than 200 kids. God's love is put on display through the new Love Inc. warehouse and the Furnishing Hope Ministry that since February has delivered over 50 homes of furniture and picked up as many, thanks to our great volunteers. And I'm going to keep going so you can save your applause till the end, because it's all worthy, but I got a long list here. God's love is put on display through the hundreds of miles and conversations that our drivers have with clients when they pick them up at their door, wait for them at their appointment, and deliver them back home. God's love is put on display through the dozens of churches that do diaper drives and the many, many volunteers in the diaper ministries that love the young families and are absolutely passionate about dry and comfy baby bottoms. God's love is put on display through the power of prayer and personal interaction that take place in the Connection Center when the volunteers are talking on the phone. God's love is put on display through the precious friendships that develop at Renewed Treasures, Love Inc.'s award-winning resale store, along with their outward focus to the community and the funds that they raise for the Love Inc. ministry. And God's love is put on display through the life-changing relationships at Impact, that weekly campus where both volunteers and participants are enriched weekly by breaking bread together and breaking down barriers through classes and connections and coaching. We celebrate all of those ways that God's love is put on display through Love Inc. Now we can. And there are ways that we put God's love on display in the community. One of the things that really is important for Love Inc. is to constantly seek to collaborate with other organizations, obviously churches, municipalities, and businesses. So sometimes we are invited in, like in 2020 when we were invited to serve on the Census 2020 Complete Count Committee, and also to serve with the Littleton COVID Response and Relief Task Force. In 2021, Love Inc. was invited in to serve on the Arapahoe County Community Block Services Advisory Group. And earlier this year, South Metro Housing Options, which is also the Littleton Housing Authority, reached out on with a request that was very close to my heart to help aging out foster kids. They had secured housing vouchers for 24 foster youth, and they'd asked other organizations to come alongside them. This housing program is across the country with HUD called Fostering Youth to Independence. And what Love Inc. has done is provided furniture for these young adults who are moving out on their own for the first time, and impact classes, and inviting them into kind of walking alongside us for the long haul. Sometimes Love Inc. does the inviting. So this year especially, seeing the dire situation of housing in our community, many of the calls that Carly and Jackie and our volunteers take at the Connection Center are centered around housing. And the exorbitant housing prices, those solutions are complicated and they're elusive, but we truly believe that there's a place for the church in those solutions. So we've hosted several sessions via Zoom and in-person meetings to share with pastors information and leaders in our community. We've discussed the expected tide of evictions. We've discussed the building code decisions that Littleton City Council is making that will affect the next 20 years of housing inventory in our community. We've discussed the possibility of home sharing for vetted clients and individuals in our community. And we've discussed the work of the local housing authorities. I'd like to invite Scott and Stephen to come forward. Scott Malin is the Mayor Pro Tem for Littleton City Council. I think that's a fancy word for a vice mayor, right? And Stephen Newhall is pastor at Littleton Christian Church and serves on our board of directors, and they've both been involved in these conversations and meetings. So Scott and Stephen, you both bring valuable perspective to the work of Love Inc. in the community, from the perspective of the community and the perspective of our churches. So Scott, I'd like you to just share with us a little bit about your perspective there.
Sure. Catherine, thanks so much for having me. Let me actually start with this. I know that I will get a proper finger wagging for taking any attention off of Love Inc., but I'm going to do this because I want to. Can we please recognize Catherine Roy with a round of applause?
Thank you.
So I think that Love Inc.'s contribution and value in our community is so significant that when it came time for me as the Littleton Mayor Pro Tem to award our Citizen of the Year, I gave that award to Love Inc. So here are just 3 ways of the many ways that Love Inc. contributes profoundly to our community. One is its ministries. That's a simple point to make. You heard the testimonies tonight. They're outstanding. Another is that Love Inc. is a force multiplier. It's the hub around which so many resources in our community revolve. It brings people and organizations together. Thank you, thank you. Yes, I forgot to give my standard disclaimer, which is that even though I'm an attorney and an elected official, I am congenitally bad at microphones. So thank you for telling me to speak up. And let me just on that point add one thing, right? Mother Teresa famously gave as a reason for her ministry, bringing people together to do something beautiful for God by serving and connecting with those who especially need service and connection, right? That is what Love Inc. does. It serves and it connects, and in that way, it does something beautiful for God in our community. And the third way that I think Love Inc. contributes so much to our community is that we get yelled at a lot as city council members by people with chips on their shoulders, and that's fine. That's part of the gig, right? But what we value so much is people and organizations who come to us with passion and with mission and with energy, and most importantly, with credibility. So when Catherine Roy calls me on the phone, I pick up the phone and I listen and I show up where she tells me to show up, and I do what she tells me to do. Right, so with that, I'll turn it over to Stephen.
Thank you. Stand up for a minute. Thank you. Thank you, Scott, for your insight and the work you do. And yes, and Stephen, thank you for sharing from the perspective of our local churches.
Sure thing. I am on the board of Love Inc., but I just want to speak as a local pastor for the next 60 seconds. We are profoundly grateful for the influence that Love Inc. has in our community. This is our home, and our home is better because of what Love Inc. is doing. Love Inc. has so carefully cultivated relationships with churches all over our city, and in doing so have generated this network of missionally minded churches and have placed us in partnership with one another. What a gift that has been for all of us involved. And they've also made incredible inroads into our community, understanding the needs and resources that are available. They help us with the language of advocacy for housing and issues in the city where the churches should and can be involved. They mobilize this network of churches that they have generated to make our home a better place for everyone living here. So again, finger wagging aside, Catherine is an incredible leader. Full disclosure, I've known about and loved Love Inc. for a long time, but I accepted the offer to join the board just so I could work closely with Catherine.
Oh my goodness.
This is a proper leader, so thank you, Catherine.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you both so much, and for all the teamwork we've done and that we will do together. I want to take a moment and just introduce our awesome ensemble who will bless us with a song called Light Your World. And during that time, you are going to be blessed by seeing videos of our volunteers doing just that.
Thanks, Catherine. My name is Matt Tolson. I go to Centennial. I've been actively volunteering and being voluntold for about 4 years now. But you know, the call of the gospel, the call of Christ is real simple. It's love thy neighbor, and I can't think of an organization that does that better than Love Inc. It's to come alongside people, to meet them where they're at, and to let God do the work that He wants to do. And we don't need to do anything more than just love the way that Christ calls us to love. So I think the song speaks to that, and yeah.
A candle in every soul, some brightly burning, some dark and cold. There is a spirit who brings a fire, ignites a candle, and makes his own frustrated brother. See how he's tried to his own candle some other way. See now your sister, she's been robbed and lied to, still holds a candle without a flame. Carry your candle, run to the darkness, seek out the lonely, the tired and worn. Hold out your candle for all to see it. Take your candle, go light your world. Take your candle, go light your world. Sing it for me.
'Cause we're a family.
We're a family.
Hearts are blazing.
Hearts are blazing.
Let's raise our
Raise our candles, light up the sky.
Pray to
Our Father,
in the name of
Jesus, make us a beacon in darkest times. Carry your candle, run to the darkness, seek out the hopeless, deceived and poor. Hold out your candle for all to see it. Take your candle, go light your world. Take your candle, go light your world. Hold out your candle for all to see it. Take your candle, go light your world. Take your candle, go light your world. Take your candle, go light the world.
Thank you. I will never tire of hearing you play that song and seeing those volunteers inspire me every day in this job. I feel so lucky. Thank you to all you volunteers, because you truly are the hands and feet of Christ. You are truly just putting God's love on display in our community. Excuse me, I'd like to invite Justin Ensign to come forward. At this time, he's our board chair, and he's going to kind of tag team with me on this part of this very fun part of our time together, because we are invited to respond to what we've heard tonight. When we chose the name of this event, The Gathering, it has a dual meaning. We have gathered together to celebrate what God is doing in our community through the churches, through Love Inc. And we're gathering the gifts that God may be calling us to share. I love the declaration from the Apostle Paul, who said, God loves a cheerful giver. And I do believe that God created us to give, and that our God of all gives us such joy when we give. So with that, I'd like to invite Justin to give us a little background on your perspective from the board and some of the things that we're up to.
Hi. On behalf of the board of directors, I'd like to thank you for spending this evening with us. The board prays for, plans for, and celebrates the future for Love Inc. Here are some of the things we have on the horizon. We currently have 41 partner churches, representing the full spectrum of Christian churches, as we mentioned before. We welcome and seek more churches to join us. The calls of the Connection Center, which is our helpline, have increased dramatically over the past months. We're exploring new technologies to assist with these increasing needs. We need new ways to connect volunteers and serve our neighbors. The housing crisis looms large for our community, and God has called us to care for those most vulnerable. Love Inc. seeks creative ways for the church to serve our neighbors struggling with housing. In order to do this, we need you. We need your prayers, your volunteer service, your connections, and your financial support. I'm a banker by profession, so I'd like to share the financial goal for this event. Lucky me. We're striving to raise $100,000 to support the mission into 2022. We're already halfway there, thanks to our business sponsors and First Fruits donors. So again, thanks to our business sponsors and First Fruits donors for that. Plus, we have anonymous donors who have generously pledged a $25,000 match. So what that means is that with $25,000 in gifts tonight through November 7th, every dollar donated will be matched and we can make our $100,000 goal. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Justin, and thank you for your service on the board and all of the board members who will be here tonight. If you want to visit with them, they have name tags on like we do, board and staff. Let me draw your attention at this point, thanks to Chris for highlighting this earlier, but this is your response and blessing card. And it's in your packet, and for our online guests, you can see this on the website. You can just click on it, and you will need to download it and print it. We seek your blessings and prayers. This is precious and crucial to the ministry of Love Inc. If you write your blessings or prayers for us on this card, we will treasure them, and we will share them. We seek your plans. You've got in faith and hope and love, I plan too. Did you hear something tonight that possibly resonated with you? Is there more that God may be calling you to? I'd like to highlight just a couple of them in the middle of that list. And by the way, you can check them all. You can check as many as you like. There's not one right answer. They're all right. But you can share this video recording. It will be available for a couple weeks on our website. Share it with others. You can also invite us to come and do a little presentation in your home with folks that maybe your neighbors or your church members or coworkers, any of that. We'd love that opportunity. And then also you heard about the meals at Impact. I just want to give that a plug because it's a wonderful way to experience Impact, to break bread together, and to do something really meaningful with your small group or your family. We seek your contact information on the back. Okay, maybe we have it, but maybe we don't. Maybe it's wrong. Please fill it out. And then we seek your financial support. For those of you who have attended the Empty Bowl or the Harvest in the past, you see that this is pretty different. We haven't even called this a fundraiser outright. We've said this is a gathering to celebrate and an opportunity to give, and it's not just about funds. But God knows we need funds to keep the ministry going, and we trust God will provide. So I'm going to give you some options on that. You heard from Justin some of the things that we're positioning ourselves to do to best serve the community. So there are a number of ways you can give. You can give through the QR code on the back that'll take you right to the giving site on your smartphone, or you can text the gathering to 41444, or if you're watching online, there's a donate button on your live stream screen. You can also give by cash or check and enclose that in the envelope. And by the way, the envelope, we'll be gathering them out in the lobby area because we love that concept of gathering the gifts. But you don't have to turn it in tonight if you're not led to. If you want to take it home and pray about it, and obviously you're already home and hopefully praying about it online, you're welcome to send it in later or drop it off. Many of you here have already given very generously to Love Inc., and we thank you for that, and we hope you felt this sense of celebration tonight. Some of you were new. You haven't really had a flavor of who we are, and we hope that this has inspired you. Others, maybe you've just learned a bit more, and God's calling you to more. Wherever you are, we just pray that you will consider and pray about how God may be calling you to respond to this invitation tonight. Now I'd like to invite Chris to come up and close our time together. And I have to brag a little bit. Did you know that Chris, with our awesome volunteer, Ken Fong, who's watching from home, hello, Ken, have created all the videos for tonight. Thank you for sharing your gifts with us and for being our awesome MC.
And thank you guys for coming tonight, and those of you watching at home. Yes, I did want to thank Ken Fong for those incredible videos, as well as Linda Malone, who did all of the floral arrangements in our fellowship hall. Thank you to Linda. And also the Kiwanis Club of Columbine, who has been serving, helping us park, and plating all of our desserts. Speaking of desserts, for those of you here with us, I look forward to getting to connect with you in our fellowship hall after this over our dessert reception. As Catherine mentioned, please remember to share your response with us if that's available. In the lobby, we'll have a basket for those. But as we close our night together, let us enjoy one more song.
Thanks, Chris. Before we go on, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank this wonderful group of musicians that have given up their time. So, thank you. Couldn't have done it without them. God's love has certainly been on display tonight. His loving nature, his transformational power in the videos, in the stories, and in the music. But all the stories tonight have one thing in common. At the center of who we are, who we serve, and who we follow is our Christ, Jesus. I can give you a personal witness that through my life, through times of trials and tribulations, through the pain, the suffering, and the tears, as that old poem some of you may know, The Footprints of God, reminds us, we're never really alone. There's always Jesus. Every time I tried to make it on my own, every time I tried to stand and start to fall, all those lonely roads that I have traveled on, there was Jesus. When the life I built came crashing to the ground, friends I had were nowhere to be found. I couldn't see it then, but I can see it now. There was Jesus. In the waiting, in the searching, in the healing and the hurting, like a blessing buried in the broken pieces. Thank you for joining us this evening. We hope you've enjoyed the program and you've been moved to join us. We encourage you to share this with your friends and family and shine that transforming light of love. Won't you come and join us? Who knows, the life you transform might be your own. Take us home. The man who needs amazing kind of grace, for forgiveness at a price I couldn't pay. I'm not perfect, so I thank God every day. There was Jesus. There was Jesus. In the waiting, in the searching, in the healing and the hurting.
shadows of the alleys.
There was Jesus.
In the fire and the flood.
There was Jesus.
All his sins and all his blood. Waiting in the searching, in the healing and the hurting, like a blessing buried in the broken pieces. Every minute, every moment, where I've been and where I'm going, even when I didn't know it, I couldn't see it. There was Jesus, there was Christ.
There was Jesus.
Love in the name of Christ. Thank you. Good night and God bless.